Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new episode of Great Books in 10 Minutes. By the end of this video, you will learn everything about the third play from the Oresteia Trilogy by Aeschylus, the Furies. The third play starts at the Temple of Apollo at Delphi. A priestess who serves as the oracle begins her prayer by invoking deities such as Zeus, Athena, Apollo, and Poseidon, imploring them that her entrance into the sacred chair be fruitful in response. Following that, the oracle emerges from the temple in great fear, her strength unstrung and her feet failing. She describes what she has seen inside the inner sanctum, a man crouching at the central altar, holding a drawn sword and wielding an olive branch wrapped in white wool. Surrounding him on the altar steps is a grisly band of women, not like women at all, but rather monstrous, gorgon-like creatures. The priestess is horrified by the sight and unsure of the origins of this group. She leaves the matter in the hands of the mighty Apollo, the lord of the shrine, who is both a healer and a prophet, entreating him to cleanse his own temple. Next, the scene opens, revealing the interior of the temple. Orestes clings to the central altar, while the Furies lie slumbering nearby. Apollo and Hermes emerge from the innermost shrine. Apollo declares that he will never abandon Orestes, but will guard him and oppose his enemies, the grim, aged, and unforgiving Furies, who are unholy, hateful creatures. Apollo urges the young prince to flee with haste to the city of goddess Athena, where he will find refuge and justice for his mother's killing, which Apollo himself had commanded. The ghost of Clytemnestra appears, wailing that her murderer remains unpunished. She cries out to the slumbering Furies, angry that they have failed to avenge her death at the hands of her own son, Orestes. She taunts them for being lulled to sleep, allowing Orestes to escape their grasp. The Furies begin to stir and mutter in their sleep, roused by the dead queen's cries. She continues to berate them, urging them to awaken and pursue her son, Orestes. The Furies let out confused cries, still caught in the throes of slumber. Clytemnestra's ghost bemoans that, even in their dreams, the Furies only chase their prey and do not truly pursue her avenger. She exhorts them to cast off their lethargy, to be inflamed with wrath, and to hound Orestes relentlessly. One of the Furies awakes and rouses the others, calling on them to cast off their sleep and ensure that the previous portents were not false. The chorus of Furies complain that they have toiled in vain, for Orestes has slipped from their grasp, and they accuse Apollo of robbing them of their rightful prey. Next, Apollo re-enters and commands the Furies to depart from his temple, threatening them with his deadly arrows if they do not leave. He tells them that their haunt should be where men commit deeds of violence and bloodshed, not the sacred shrines. The Furies argue with Apollo, claiming that he is the primary cause of Orestes' crime, since his oracle had commanded the son to slay his own mother. Apollo retorts that he had only urged Orestes to avenge his father's murder, not the killing of his mother. Apollo asserts that the bond of marriage takes precedence over the ties of kinship, and therefore the Furies are unjust in hounding Orestes for his mother's murder, while being more lenient towards those who slay their spouses. He declares that Athena will uphold the right in this matter. The scene shifts to the Acropolis in Athens, where Orestes is seen clinging to the statue of Athena. He appeals to the goddess to receive him, as he has come by Apollo's command, no longer a fresh murderer, but one whose guilt has faded through his wanderings. At this moment, the chorus of Furies enter, tracking Orestes by the scent of the blood he has shed. They vow that his mother's blood, once spilled upon the earth, can never be erased, and they will relentlessly pursue him, demanding that he pay the ultimate price for his matricide. They declare that no one who has wronged the gods, their kin, or their friends can escape the judgment of the underworld. Orestes clings to the statue of Athena, declaring that he has been cleansed of the stain of his mother's murder through rituals performed at Apollo's shrine. He calls out to Athena, asking her to come and champion his cause, promising that he and his people of Argos will forever be loyal to her. The chorus of Furies responds, declaring that neither Apollo nor Athena's strength can save Orestes from perishing and becoming a bloodless, shadowy prey of their powers. They chant a binding spell, invoking their role as ministers of justice, punishing those who have wronged the dead. They bemoan that Apollo has dishonored them by taking Orestes, a rightful victim, from their grasp. The Furies continue their chant, describing their relentless pursuit of those who have committed kinslaying. They declare that no one can escape their wrath, for they are the queens of vengeance, lighting their way with torches from the sunless regions to hunt down the living and the dead who have shed the blood of kin. The Furies further expound upon their role, stating that they dwell in utter darkness, far from the gods, but that their power is inviolable. They strike fear into the hearts of all who hear of the ordinances and laws that have been given to them by fate itself. They assert that none can wrong their office, for they are bound to this task for eternity. Athena suddenly appears, having heard the clamor of the Furies' cries. She expresses wonder at their monstrous form, yet declares it unjust to chide them. The Furies identify themselves as the children of eternal night, the Furies of the underworld. Athena acknowledges their lineage and asks them to clearly state their rights. The Furies explain that they chase down the murderers of men, and Athena asks where such a killer can find respite. The Furies respond that he can find no joy, for they are relentless in their pursuit. Athena notes that two sides have been presented, and the Furies say that Orestes will not swear an oath to challenge them. Athena suggests that the form of justice, not just its deed, must be considered. Athena turns to Orestes and asks him to plead his case, speaking of his lineage and his woes. Orestes declares that he is not guilty, having undergone the proper rituals of purification. He recounts how his father, Agamemnon, was treacherously slain by his mother, and how he in turn killed her to avenge his father. He asks Athena to judge whether his actions were right or wrong. Athena acknowledges the gravity of the matter, stating that she is not qualified to judge issues of murder and the wrath that follows. However, since Orestes has come to her shrine with due rites performed, she will not condemn him. Recognizing the Furies' rightful claims as well, Athena declares that she will choose impartial judges to hear the case and render a verdict, calling upon both sides to present their evidence and arguments. The chorus of Furies complains that if Orestes' cause prevails, the ancient laws will be undone. They fear that if the matricide goes unpunished, it will set a dangerous precedent, and parents will live in dread of their children's violence. They declare that without their watchful gaze and wrath, death will reign unchecked. The Furies warn that those who no longer revere justice and the powers of the underworld will face the inevitable consequences of their actions. The chorus of Furies continues its chant, proclaiming that there is a throne that cannot be overthrown, the throne of fear, which searches the inner soul of man. They declare that wisdom is born of pain, and that from this day forward, none will worship right as they have in the past. The chorus advises that the middle way, untouched by wantonness or impiety, is the path dearest to the gods and will lead to true well-being. Athena returns accompanied by 12 Athenian citizens and calls for silence to allow the judges to hear the case. Apollo also approaches, declaring that he has come as a witness, since Orestes is his suppliant and has been cleansed by him of murder. Athena invites the chorus to present their case first. The chorus questions Orestes about his deed, and he openly admits to killing his mother. The chorus declares this as the first of 3 decisive falls, but Orestes refutes the notion of a final defeat. The chorus presses him to explain the circumstances that led him to commit the matricide, and Orestes replies that he was compelled by the oracles of Apollo, who is now present to attest to this. Orestes appeals to Apollo to affirm the justness of his deed, and Apollo declares that he spoke the oracle's commands on behalf of Zeus, the father of the Olympian gods. The Furies challenge Apollo's stance, questioning how the god can condone a son's killing of his own mother when Zeus himself had imprisoned his own father, Kronos. Apollo defends his position, arguing that the murder of a father, a king, and a military leader is a graver crime than the killing of a mother. He describes Clytemnestra's treacherous murder of Agamemnon and declares that such a deed cannot be atoned for by the typical means. Orestes, he says, was justified in his vengeance. The chorus persists in its questioning, asking how Orestes can be allowed to dwell in Argos and participate in the rituals of the community after shedding the blood of his own mother. Apollo responds that the mother is not the true parent, but rather the father is the true progenitor, using Athena as an example of a child born without a mother. Apollo further pledges that Orestes and his line will be loyal to Athena and her city, forging an everlasting alliance. Athena then addresses the judges, instructing them to deliver their just award, acknowledging that both sides have made their arguments. Athena establishes the Areopagus, a permanent council of judges sworn to uphold the law, as the court that will decide Orestes' fate. She emphasizes the importance of reverence and the rule of law, warning that without these, justice cannot be properly served. Athena then calls upon the judges to cast their votes, invoking their oath to deliver a righteous judgment. The 12 judges approach the urns of decision one by one to cast their votes. As each judge votes, the chorus and the god Apollo engage in a back-and-forth dialogue, debating the merits of the case and the authority of their respective claims. After counting the votes, the results are evenly split, and to break the tie, Athena, the goddess of wisdom, declares that she has the right to cast the final vote. She decides to side with Orestes, the defendant, reasoning that as she was not born from a mother's womb, she is more inclined to champion the male over the female. Orestes expresses his gratitude to Athena, Apollo, and Zeus for saving him from his doom. He vows that the people of Argos will never again raise their spears against Athena's city. The chorus laments the loss of their ancient rights, feeling dishonored and thrust into scorn. They threaten to unleash their wrath upon the land, vowing to spread a blight and pestilence that will ravage the earth. Athena intercedes, pleading with the chorus to be appeased and promising them a holy sanctuary within the city. The chorus continues to express their anguish and outrage at being deprived of their ancient rights. Athena reassures them that they are not dishonored, and she offers them a place of honor beside her, where they will be revered and their blessings will ensure the prosperity of the land. Athena further attempts to appease the chorus, acknowledging their greater wisdom and age. She promises that in their new role within the city, they will be held in higher esteem than anywhere else, and that their presence will bring blessings and protection to the Athenian people. The chorus of Furies agrees to Athena's offer, pledging to bless the city with their presence and to refrain from bringing any harm or discord to Athens. Athena, in turn, promises that the chorus will be revered and their decrees will hold sway over the lives of the people. The Furies offer a blessing upon the land of Athens, invoking protection from blight, famine, and untimely death. They also call upon the fates to grant prosperity and successful marriages to the people. Athena expresses her gratitude for the chorus's change of heart. She then declares that with the chorus's presence, Athens will be spared from civic strife and bloodshed, and instead the city will enjoy a lasting peace and harmony. The Furies offer further blessings and praises to Athens, Athena, and the other gods, expressing their joy at being welcomed and integrated into the city's sacred life. They vow to bestow their divine favor and protection upon the Athenian people. Next, Athena leads a ceremonial procession, guiding the chorus down into their appointed shrine. The women and children of Athens join the procession, carrying torches and chanting in celebration of the newfound alliance between the Furies and the city of Athens. The chant calls upon the night's childless children, the Furies, to return to their primeval lair deep within the earth, imploring them with prayers and sacrifices. The chant also asks the Furies, now with their former wrath allayed, to come with joy to their temple in the beloved land, with torchbearers and libations following in their wake. The chant invokes the blessings of Zeus and fate upon Athena's city, as the procession disappears into the depths of the cave. Very well, my friends, I trust you found my summary of the third play of the Oresteia series enjoyable. Your support is crucial in helping me to create further episodes. To contribute, kindly consider becoming a member, liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. For those inclined to donate, secure links are provided in the description box. Thank you sincerely, and see you in the next episode.